Welcome back to the Vet S.O.S podcast brought to you by the Who You Know Network. Remember, don't drown the sea of transition. Grab the Vet S.O.S Lifeline. Great episode scheduled today. We have the team from Hire Heroes USA with us today. We have Elena Compartori and Romaine Bird. Hopefully I didn't butcher that too bad, Elena.
Nope, you got it right.
Nice. As always, I'm here with my co-host, Eric. Eric, how are you doing today?
Oh man, I'm doing really, really well, buddy. Thanks for asking. I am happy to be here. I'm stoked to talk about an incredible organization. What just a powerhouse resource for our community. So I'm excited to get after it, man.
Absolutely. This is one of those that I personally used during my transition. Very excited to hear more about them and what they have going on and some of the wonderful stories and examples they have. It's going to be amazing. So we'll get right into the introductions. We got Elena, who serves as the Director of Client Service Delivery for Hire Heroes USA. She is responsible for the development and implementation of Hire Heroes USA's core service delivery model, including oversight of all aspects of the program, from the client's first phone call with their assigned transition specialist through their confirmation as hired. Elena is a career development professional and community leader with 16 plus years of experience in the career services and employment industry. Romaine serves as the Georgia Program Manager at Hire Heroes USA. He is responsible for outreach, education, and enrollment of transitioning military personnel, veterans, and their families into the Hire Heroes USA program. Romaine retired from the Army after 22 years of service, and he has a fascinating story and journey that we'll get into here soon, and how he wound up with Hire Heroes USA. Can't wait to hear that story. Romaine, Elena, how you doing today? We're so happy to have you here with us.
We're excited. We're excited for this.
Absolutely.
That is awesome. So let's start with a little bit of background. We'll start with you, Elena. We just read your intro. Just tell us a little bit more about how you wound up at Hire Heroes USA. What led you there?
Well, I am not a veteran myself, never served, but happy that I have the opportunity to do it now. Career services and working in the veteran space really wasn't what my initial career path was. I was living in South Florida. I was working in construction for a luxury home builder. And in 2007, that all crashed. And I went back to school and had some really great professors that kind of helped me find a different path, something that I was really good at and was really interested in was the HR field, recruiting, took some classes on resume writing, and I really enjoyed that. And there happened to be a job opening in the Career Services Center at the school I was working on my MBA at. So with no experience, I applied, but I must have wowed them in the interview because I got it. And I worked there for about 6.5, almost 7 years before I moved to Georgia to work at the University of North Georgia, which is a military college here. And then one thing that I preach a lot is how I ended up at Hire Heroes LinkedIn. My former area manager had recruited me, found me from LinkedIn, asked me to come in and have a conversation. I'd never heard of Hire Heroes at that point. It was a little over 8 years ago. That's how long I've been here, but never heard of the organization. It was pretty small back then. About 40 to 50 employees. I was really nervous to leave a state position for a small nonprofit, but I made the leap, and probably the best decision that I made. Like I said, I'm happy to be here and serve those who had served for me. So I started off as a transition specialist who works directly with the transitioning service members, veterans, or military spouses through their job search. Then I was the Georgia area manager. Then I had Romaine's role as a Georgia program manager. And then about a year ago, became the director of client service delivery.
Outstanding.
Wow.
Love that journey. That's just amazing. And you dropped another bomb on LinkedIn. We keep telling it over and over again. LinkedIn. You don't have to be an expert, just LinkedIn. Romaine, how about your story?
Yes, sir. So I joined the Army back in 1995. So it's kind of dating me a little bit. I'm not spring chicken. So joined as a mechanic, and I'll be honest, like I tell everybody, I was probably the worst mechanic ever to grab a wrench or pick up a toolbox. Struggled a little bit, decided, hey, the military is not for me. And I jumped back out in the civilian world, which was like, not knowing how to swim, jump into an ocean, full of sharks. So I struggled. I mean, I was taking some really weird jobs. I worked at KFC, believe it or not, as a cook, and the manager looked at my resume and he was like, "So why did you get out of the military again?" And it was like, you know what, I got to go back in. So I joined. Fortunate enough, I was able to get back in the military as a recruiter. Did that for about another 13 years, and I've told this a lot. As I got closer to getting out, again, the anxiety of finding employment was kind of setting back in. I attended a program through Emory and saw a flyer about Hire Heroes USA. Called, and within a few weeks had a transition specialist. Had so many great reviews about the program. And Elena will tell you, I got the opportunity to when I saw it on LinkedIn, I got the opportunity to kind of beat on everybody's doors about working for the company. I think by that Monday, I saw it advertised like on that Friday. By that Monday, maybe 20 people was hitting Elena up. It was like, "Hey, this guy from Georgia is interested in working with the program." Been here almost 5 years in September. I live this program. I've convinced at least 8, 9 of my friends to come work for the company itself. So nothing but great things to say about this organization.
That's amazing. That's a testament. If you're willing to bring your friends into an organization, then you're definitely doing something right. I mean, the culture of the organization has to be absolutely amazing. What do you think about that, Eric?
Yeah, I think, and that's a big deal, right? Like culture's a big thing that we don't talk about a lot in the transition space, but landing in an organization with a great culture, landing in an organization with a mission like Hire Heroes has, I think is just absolutely vital. Romaine, I love your story, dude. I didn't know that you guys were both in Georgia. I'm in Georgia. Like, we can all hang out. It's cool.
We should.
But no, I think you guys are, the mission of Hire Heroes is super important. Right. And that's kind of what I want to dig into. I want to dig into what is the mission? What do you guys do? What can someone who is transitioning and, Romaine, I'm just like you, buddy. I got out once, jacked it all up and went back in, right. Finished out at 25 years. When somebody's transitioning, it's really hard. So what can we expect? Right. So what's the program look like? What is it how's the flow? And I think, Elena, I'll go to you for that.
Sure. First thing, register on our website, hireheroesusa.org. Once somebody registers for services, they get assigned to a transition specialist. Like Romaine said, it's a pretty short timeline that they'll get assigned to somebody. And then that one person will be their main point of contact throughout their entire time working with us. Mentioning the culture and the mission, we have a lot of people working here who really believe in the culture and the mission. And I think that's what makes us really successful in the roles and wanting to help the people is that we're passionate about what we do. And you'll work one-on-one with that person all the way through your job search. So they'll work on a resume for you or with you, teach you how to tailor it for the different jobs that you're applying for, bringing up LinkedIn, teach you how to use that effectively. Like Romaine said, he reached out to just about everybody at Hire Heroes and said, I really want to work for this organization. He was a client. We'd helped him find a job, one that turns out he wasn't as passionate about as being here, but he was a success of our services as well, and then really wanted to be a part. So I had people from all over the country. We have employees, I think, in 19 different states. I had people all over reaching out to me saying, you should check this guy out. He sent me this really nice message on LinkedIn. So I had to do the phone screening, and he really wowed in the interview. So just one of the successes. But we help with interviews, help salary negotiations, cover letters, just every step of the way through the job search process. And our services never expire. So if maybe that first job that you get out of the service isn't what's right for you, we're still here to help. And that could be 6 months down the road. It could be 6 years down the road. And if that original transition specialist you worked with isn't here or in a different role, then we'll connect you to another one. We have a lot of great volunteers who provide career counseling and mock interview services for us. We have a great referral and training program that if somebody comes to our services and they need, they're homeless, for example, or need help navigating their benefits, we work with a large number of referral and training partners to kind of help plug them to the services and resources they need that we don't provide, since our specialization is employment. And then we offer a lot of virtual events. So all of our services are provided virtually. It's the way that we can reach the most amount of people. So we do career fairs, virtual career fairs 4 times a year. We have a lot of employment webinars and workshops, resume writing, federal employment, LinkedIn, stuff like that.
Okay. You guys offer a lot. That's one thing I love about Hire Heroes USA is like that. There's a lot that gets offered there, right? It's kind of like a large salad bar, right? You can kind of grab what you need, right? So Romaine, as someone who has been through the program, right? Someone who has been successful through the program, someone who has lived, walked, and breathed the program, not just as someone who believes in it and works for the organization, but someone who has been through the program. What did you find? And I don't want to put you on the spot for the most beneficial thing, but what did you find the most beneficial as a veteran, someone who, kind of got transition out of his blood, or went through transition twice? What did you find really the most beneficial as somebody going through the program?
Yep. Great question. So, as veterans, we are super stubborn and we don't want to ask anybody for help, right? We try to fix everything ourselves, all of our issues, all of our problems, and finding a way to relate to someone that understands what we're going through. So one thing about Hire Heroes USA, and as well as my personal experience, my transition specialist was a veteran himself, retired, E8 Master Sergeant. So he kind of understood the process I was going through. So, he walked me through it. He actually, took my military experience and actually showed me how to translate it into civilian, terminology that I can use in everyday language. All the hoods and the Roger That's and the acronyms. I mean, you got to let that go. And finding the secondary identification, because, I wasn't Sergeant Bird anymore. I was Romaine, which I hate my name, by the way. But anyway, I had to go from being Sergeant Bird to actually being Romaine. And that is a really hard transition. So having that person to understand what you're going through, to help you calm down, take a breather, and walk that walk, is I think that was the most beneficial thing for me with this program. So
I love that. And first of all, your name is super dope, dude. Like, don't
Is
do
it?
that.
You can have
Yeah.
it. You can have it.
Nah, man, I got my own. My mom and dad would be pissed. No, I can't do that. Nah, man. But I hear you, right? Like that's it, right? It's the person that's willing to sit down with you and help you navigate, right? We need to learn how to become bilingual.
Absolutely.
Right? Like we got to learn to speak a new language. We got to learn to engage with a new group of people. 93% of the country have never served.
Yep.
That's a fact, right? Us veterans, we're part of that. We're part of that really small, cool kids club, man. 7%.
Absolutely.
And the fact is, we need someone there to kind of help guide us and help us kind of navigate. What does this look like next? Okay, Sean, what do you got, buddy?
It's still.
I can
amazing.
see you chomping at the bit.
What? There were a couple that, I think I actually had a vehicle in one of Romaine's motor pools because I've been around some really bad ones. I was holding on to that one. Sorry. But it still amazes me how small the community is when you start talking about 7% or so, and when you live in a military town, you see DV plates and retired plates everywhere. You're like, no, this is a huge community. It really isn't. So someone calls in, they get assigned this transition specialist, right? So what happens if they don't click? Do you guys have something in place for that? Because, sometimes personalities don't match or what have you. And, we've talked about other organizations like ACP and Commit that do stuff like that. And, you may have to change somebody out. Do you guys have situations like that?
We do. It's not very common. One of my favorite things about our services is how personalized and customized that they are to each individual that is going through the job search. Because while 2 people might have had the same role in the military, their transition is not the same, and their job search is not going to be the same. And not everybody has the same personality. So there are times whenever people just don't click. And we, in those times, like I said, it's few and far between. We try to kind of mediate it so that they can continue to work together. But if it's not going to work, then we definitely can transfer to somebody else. Yeah. We just want what's best for the person that is coming through our services.
Right. And I would imagine for the most part, if someone's reaching out to you, they want the services or they're at least, looking into it. So hopefully you don't have to do that very often, which is great. So
go ahead, Sean.
I was going to ask, like how many, do you have a ballpark figure? How many veterans, family members, spouses have utilized the services from Hire Heroes? Do you have any kind of information on that? I know.
Well, I do. Since we started, we have a little over 83,000 confirmed hires. So people who have confirmed hires into one role. That doesn't count people who came through the services again. Those are just unique hires, over 83,000. And this year alone, we're over 7,000. So on track for between 12,500 and 13,000 for this year. Wow. And that's just about a little over 60 people doing that work. So we are a small but mighty organization. Yeah.
Wow.
That's big impact. Yeah.
Elena, you said something earlier that kind of stuck with me, and I'm curious if you can elaborate on it. You talked about how your services never expire. Yes. Right. So to someone who, we know that 44% of all of our service members that come out will have a second or third job inside that first year post-military service. Right. So what does that look like because we want to know we have a safety net. I think that's the big thing, right? We just, if I can try, I just want to know I have somebody I can count on. So I think it's super important that you highlight, right, the fact that your services never expire. Explain that to us.
Yeah, we have an alumni program. So once somebody does get hired utilizing our services, they go into that alumni program. And there are offerings, webinars, and mentor opportunities through that to kind of help. Now you've gotten the job. Now, like, how do you fit into the job? So kind of stuff that helps with that. But even if you can't manage that, come back to our services. We can help again. If you want an update to your resume, maybe that wasn't the right role and you want to take a completely different career path, helping to navigate those waters.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Romaine, I'm sorry, but you just said something else that's super important, right? And I think that's something that's really underspoken about in the transition space. Everybody wants to high five a veteran when they get a job, right? But that's where the real work begins. Right? How do I integrate into a new team? How do I become a part of a vibrant part of a team when maybe I'm the only veteran, and so now I don't have those unique experiences that I can share with the people around me? So, Romaine, how do the folks at Hire Heroes USA, how do you guys help us navigate that integration piece and that thriving piece?
Yep. So a lot of my clients, I have that conversation, especially if you've done 20 years plus or even 10. You've done the hard part. Like, you may have taken a job as a recruiter. I put some people in some positions I know that they weren't good for. It's just we had to meet that mission. So you've done that weird, hard part of your life. So now let's decide what is now that you enjoy doing, something that you can see yourself actually making in a career versus just a job. And having them to take that step back, reevaluate their whole life and what is their end goal is, helps a lot. You just got to be a personable person. Like, you just got to just relax. Take that Colonel Johnson out and call you Thomas. And, at that point, you can start rebuilding and making sure things goes as planned. So.
Okay.
Can I add to that?
Yes, please.
That it's not just all on the veteran to figure out how to be part of that. So we have a corporate partnerships team that also works with companies and their recruiters and hiring managers to understand how, not necessarily how to read a resume that's written by a veteran, right? How to understand the skills that they bring to the table that might not be directly what they're looking for, not that direct experience, but how they transfer into what they're looking for. And also how to, put together an ERG that can help veterans integrate into an organization.
That's awesome. And I love that I feel like that's probably one of my favorite things about your organization is that, you're trying to, you're getting in the fight on both sides of the battle, right? Let's help veterans find the right place for them, the right employer, the right culture, the right position. And then let's help employers understand how to integrate that veteran? How do we read those resumes? Because really, if you boil it all down, we don't suffer from a lack of ability or capability or experience. We suffer from a communications barrier.
Absolutely.
That's really what this is, right? It's a communications problem. How do I communicate with 93% of the country? I don't know how to talk to these hiring authorities. I don't know how to talk to the recruiter. I don't know how to sell myself in an interview. I don't know how to tell people what my own worth is. Right. And I think that's my favorite thing about Hire Heroes USA is that you guys really do. You take that problem set and you understand that it's got to be fixed on both sides. And so that's something that I will scream from the mountaintops about what you guys do and how you navigate that. I think it's really important.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. But I'm curious more about the business side of it there. Do organizations reach out directly to you for this type of training? Or does your team actually go out and look for organizations to better teach them and sort of spread the word? How's that whole process work?
Organizations do reach out to us. We have, like I said, a really great corporate partnerships team. They work with organizations to kind of help fill positions that they might be having a hard time filling, to help kind of recruit for just different roles that would be a good fit for veterans, and which is really anything. It's just companies that want to put the time and energy and effort into helping veterans fit back into the civilian life. So we have a lot of corporate partners that post on our job board. We have corporate partners that are working with our direct placement program. And we do have corporate partners that come through and ask us for help on understanding how to integrate veterans into their workforce. So a lot of it is just, word of mouth, the same way that the veterans and military spouses find our services. And then just connections that our staff has out in the community and connecting them to our corporate partnerships team that way as well.
That's awesome. Romaine, I've got another question for you. And I know, Sean, we're getting short on time, and I know you don't want me to get too long-winded here, but Romaine, so you are a beacon of light for like bringing people to Hire Heroes USA to work, right? We've heard that. Like, you have brought your friends, right? You don't just bring friends to any old cookout, right? It's got to be the right environment. So, but what about those of us who have a real jobby job that we do love? Is there an opportunity to help out the mission as a volunteer?
Absolutely. So we have a really, I forgot what the number, extensive group of individuals that volunteer. And if you are looking for a mentor or someone to kind of guide you through that process, we will connect you with that individual that we know is going to help you through that process. So we wouldn't take someone who, wants to work as a project manager and connect them with someone that works in security. So we will put you with the right person in that right space to help you transition and make that a seamless process. So,
okay. So how does somebody find an opportunity to mentor or to volunteer? Like what are the other, is it volunteer mentors? How do I find that opportunity?
Yeah, you would just reach out to, I think on our site, we have a plug on there that you can actually volunteer for services, as well as, reach out to one of the transition specialists or someone that works for the organization and just, hey, I would like to volunteer, and we'll connect you with the right people.
All right.
That's awesome. That is learning a lot here. Like I knew about the services to service members, transitioning service members, but I didn't realize how much you're helping the community and organizations in the community. The fact that, you're always looking for volunteers. So great that we can help you spread that word a little bit. As Eric alluded to, though, we are getting down to time here. So normally, as we get ready to close, we like to ask you what you want to leave the audience with. So is there one thing specifically, and we'll pass this to Elena first and then to Romaine, just one thing you want to leave the audience with today?
Yeah, I want to do a little plug for some of our specialized career programs. So we talk about, helping veterans and military spouses, but we kind of break it down a little bit more than that as well. So we have a junior enlisted program that helps the junior enlisted service members and veterans navigate those special circumstances that they might be facing or barriers. We have a military spouse program, and our newest one is a women veteran program that we had just launched earlier this year to kind of help navigate those waters as well. And then we have a federal program. So, applying for federal jobs is a whole beast in itself. So we have a team that is dedicated to helping veterans and military spouses navigate that sector on its own. And then, as always, LinkedIn is going to be one of your best friends in your job search.
Awesome. Romaine, over to you.
Yes, sir. So using this program or utilizing this program, I think we're a little different than most. I've went through a few others I won't name, but this program allows you to work with individuals that enjoy doing what we do. It's definitely not for the paycheck. You have to have the passion, the love, and the mindset to want to give back to not only veterans, but a community that have done so much. Like I enjoy this job. And if you're doing something you enjoy, it's not work. I've, like mentioned earlier, I've done some jobs that I really, really regretted. And I almost been here 5 years now. September will be 5 years, and it doesn't probably seem that way to Elena. But I love it, and I'm going to be here till the day she fires me. So,
I love it.
That's awesome. So I will say here before I turn it over to Eric that I did 20 plus different transition programs. I started two and a half years out. I took advantage of my time and tried a lot of things. Hire Heroes USA was one of the first ones I did. And I'm actually one of those 7,000 you mentioned that landed a job utilizing Hire Heroes USA this year. The resume that I turned in when I did my fellowship was the Hire Heroes USA resume. It's the only resume I have. I didn't sit down and write a resume or anything like that. It was really working with my transition assistant specialist and going through that. So where I am right now in my life and my career, I owe a big part of that to Hire Heroes USA. You guys got me started. You got me on the right path. And really, like I said, the product that I received from your specialist is the one that got me my job. So, it's just outstanding that you guys were able to come on the show today. I really appreciate all you're doing.
You're actually making me tear up a little bit.
On the show. Yes.
Every time I hear somebody has been successful in their transition, whether they use our services or not, it makes me happy because this is why, I've been doing this for a little over 8 years now. So Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Eric, I'll turn it over to you for some closing comments.
Dude, I don't know how I followed that up, man. Like that was I was getting a little misty eyed over here, but I got glasses so you can't see it. And I won't ever admit that again. Now listen, I think, I've said this a couple of times, like I will stand on a mountaintop and scream, and continuously be a megaphone for what you guys do, for what you provide for our community. Right. So thank you to both of you for not just for being on the show and hanging out with us for a little bit, but really for what you do, for what your heart is for us, for how you care for people. Like it comes through. Like I know we're virtual, but like it comes through the screen, how much you actually care about making sure people land well, right? It's not just about finding a job. It's about landing well. And that resonates. So I love what you guys do. I love what the organization does. I'm just super, super humbled that you guys took some time out of your day to be here with us. I appreciate you. So thank you very much. Sean, man, another great episode, dude. I don't know. Some of these organizations, right? Like you sit back and you're like, oh yeah, no, they're good. But like, then you get a couple like HHU and you're like, but no, they're really good. Right. So it's super dope. I'm really glad you guys are here. Man. Okay. I know we got things scrolling down the ticker tape down the bottom, but I want you to tell us here, Elena, how can people best how do we get a hold of Hire Heroes USA? How do we get involved? Give us that quick go here, do this.
HireHeroesUSA.org. We have tabs on there for job seekers, tabs on there if you're looking to get connected as an employer partner, and a tab at the top if you are looking for ways to give back to the veteran community.
I love it. All right, guys. Thanks again for being here. We appreciate you. If there's anything we as the S.O.S team could do to help you out or help spread the word, please let us know. All right. Thank you, everyone else, for tuning in to Vet S.O.S. Remember, do not drown in the sea of transition. Grab that Vet S.O.S lifeline.